Right. Push one in the chat if you can hear me. All right. Thanks for the confirmation, man. This is episode 541. Black Blockchain Talk. Please hit the like button as you come in, share the video if possible, hit the notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust, including those posted on the community tab. If you want to engage in discussion, there'll be a link in the chat for you to click on. You click on the link, make sure you raise your hand so that one of us can acknowledge you and advance you to the panel. All right, let me get started, man. First item on the docket is from BitcoinLightning.com. Lightning Labs releases LND 0.10. This week, Lightning Labs made a major upgrade to its LN protocol. The company released the latest beta version 0.10 of its LND software. This upgrade provides Lightning Network users with a host of new functionalities, increased reliability, and a better overall UX, which is user experience. This news demonstrates further development of the Lightning Network as the project nears the end of its second year of beta testing. The update improves upon a variety of key components. Specifically, the channel database architecture is now easier to work with. In the past, Lightning Network analysts pointed to channel structuring as a major drawback to increase adoption of the second layer protocol. Additionally, a new functionality known as advanced payment routing is now available to users. This feature simplifies multi-path payments. This upgrade is critical to adoption because it increases liquidity on the network. The added liquidity comes from the fact that multi-path payments increase LND channel capacity significantly. The increase in channel capacity opens the doors for more applications. Prior to upgrade, LN users could send a maximum invoice of only 0.042 BTC. Importantly, the new protocol swells the maximum invoice amount to 0.167 BTC. Consequently, the added capacity increases the reliability of the entire network. I'm just going to read this part real quick. This marks the first major release in the version 0.10.0 series. This release contains several new features, including support for sender-side MPP payment splitting, PSBT channel funding, and much more. Notably, this release also includes a new experimental commitment type, anchor commitments. As usual, this release also contains a number of optimizations and bug fixes. Additionally, version 0.10 LND simplifies opening and closing channels. In the past, there has been concerning regarding closing channels. In one instance, an LN user accidentally force closed his channel and almost lost 4 BTC in the process. Luckily, the LN community came to the rescue. In the end, he was able to retrieve his lost crypto, but not without some serious headaches. Lightning Labs has also made alterations to the anchor commitment format. Originally, channel operators and users would agree on a fee prior to the channel opening. The scenario left channel operators at a disadvantage at times of extreme volatility. If BTC's price dropped significantly after a channel opened, an operator could lose any profit made through the channel. Now, channel operators can submit a revised fee after a channel closes if needed. The addition is a nod of thanks to the channel operators, and it helps encourage even more LN users to consider opening a payment channel directly in the future. Also, the update adds support for partially signed Bitcoin transactions, BSBT. This addition means that hardware wallet users can keep their private keys during transactions moving forward. The partially signed Bitcoin transactions update lays the foundation for the future expansion of functionalities on the network. Now, LND users who operates their own code node can open new payment channels directly from their hardware wallets. The update allows users to link their Lightning Network channels to their cold storage in multi-signature setups. This is big. It will be interesting to see how LApp or Lightning application developers leverage this feature in the future. So this is really good. This is really important. This one feature, in my opinion, the partially signed Bitcoin transactions in the channel, placing the payment channel directly to their hardware wallets. For those of you who don't know, a cold storage wallet means that this is a wallet that is stored offline. Okay. Cold storage means that it's a storage location that is not connected to a network. Warm storage is something like a phone, right? It's available until you actually activate it. Hot storage or a hot wallet would basically be a wallet that's always active. It can always be communicated with. If they're talking about linking their Lightning Network channels to cold storage, this is huge because now you're talking about placing it in a secure location where it should be offline, but leaving opportunity to actually make a transaction, and then you can add a partially signed Bitcoin transaction to that, and also a smart contract with that as well. This is really big. So Lightning application development can actually, open up a whole new paradigm for, from an e-commerce standpoint. Okay. So if you invested into some Bitcoin and you had a wallet and you wanted to store it offline, that would probably be the most secure way to actually make sure that your wallet doesn't get stolen. Like some people around here have had their wallet stolen. So this is big. This is big. I definitely want to look more into this Lightning application developers SDKs or software development kits, like to see what they're doing. But yeah, Lightning Labs releases LND's version 0.10. Hard Fork Rich in the chat says, can create a cold storage on Raspberry Pi. Yeah, you can do that with Raspberry Pi, right? You can do that. I don't know if it's going to be worth it per se, because although it's offline, what's the cost to spin up a Raspberry Pi as a cold storage wallet, right? There's a lot of labor involved in that, as well as the cost of the hardware. I'm thinking, you know, um, even spinning up a virtual machine and connecting it to that, connecting to it that way. That's what I was thinking. You could spin up multiple virtual machines or multiple containers and actually put your wallets in there. What I'd be worried about is if the Raspberry Pi dies, accidentally, whether it's a short circuit or something to that effect. I'd be worried about that. But that's a good question, though, Rich. Yeah, y'all hit the like button, man. All right, let me get to the next item on the docket. This is from coinintelegraph.com. Blockchain interoperability, the holy grail for cross-chain deployment. As per a detailed report released by accounting giant Deloitte at the World Economic Forum on the subject of blockchain interoperability, this fast evolving technology still has some distance to tread before it can be ported into action for mainstream purposes such as large-scale supply chain management, secure data sharing, and other purposes. In this regard, a number of big name web services such as IBM, Oracle, Azure, blockchain services in Azure blockchain services in SAP has been vocal in their support for cross-chain platforms and have made a first commitment to solving many of the issues that currently plague this fast-growing technology. For example, the World Health Organization, in conjunction with the help of the aforementioned companies, was able to deploy a platform called MPASA, which has been built on top the Hyperledger Fabric network to enable early detection of COVID-19 carriers and infection hotspots. Similarly, tech giants Accenture and Fujitsu recently announced that they are currently working on an open source software called Hyperledger Cactus, which will allow for the secure and reliable integration of multiple blockchains using Fujitsu's proprietary security technology connection chain and Accenture's blockchain integration framework. The project is aimed at fostering a new foundational framework that can enable faster asset transfers and streamline the recovery process associated with blockchain transaction errors. What just happened? With all these platforms already launched, there are still a lot of concerns around cross-chain technology, such as, are they really feasible? And how will their governance work? And perhaps most importantly, how can public and private blockchains be linked with one another without any security or privacy lapses occurring? As more enterprises and large scale corporations continue to realize that they cannot exist in complete exclusivity, interoperability via the use of the blockchain tech has become an increasingly attractive option for not only streamlining internal processes, but also reducing day-to-day operational costs. So far, most enterprise blockchain applications reside on private blockchains such as Hyperledger and Corda. But over the past couple of months, Hyperledger itself has started to move towards leveraging more public networks such as Ethereum. However, with the Ethereum network still being subject to regular clogging, something that is evolution into 2.0 proof of stake network is set to change. A number of other public networks that focus on interoperability and scalability, like Cosmos and Polkadot, have sprung up. In this regard, the Cosmos Inter Blockchain Communication, or IBC, protocol is currently undergoing an incentivized testnet and will most likely go live to mainnet by the end of Q3. Similarly, Polkadot's interchain messaging protocol will most likely go live in about a year's time. To get a more holistic view of cross-chain systems and whether there are current use cases that have demonstrated their viability, Cointelegraph reached out to Tushar Agarwal, CEO of Persistence and institutional finance focused enterprise chain with the Cosmos ecosystem. Agarwal pointed out that his team recently performed an interoperability transaction test where they executed a non-standard IBC transaction. These transactions send and receive data between a network of industry-specific specialized chains in a completely trustless manner. Furthermore, he also pointed out that the Zcash team is working on constructing interoperable bridges using Cosmos native framework. Commenting on the subject, Michael Burgers, Chief Operating Officer of REN, an open protocol that enables permissionless and private transfer of value between any blockchain, told Cointelegraph that his company is just weeks away from a production-ready interoperability solution for public blockchains like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Zcash. On the potential downsides of cross-chain systems and feasibility, he added, all interoperability solutions will likely have trade-offs. So it's a matter of designing systems that find a balance between security, governance, adaptability, and economic incentives that suit their target market. When dealing with multi-chain systems, governance architecture needs to be the core focus. Since the networks involved in any cross-chain transactions must have absolute trust in the central governance layer that ensures integrity of the participants. Also, there is a substantial degree of risk due to the possibility that a private chain could become completely centralized and hosted by biased third parties as compared to decentralized networks that rely on a distributed consensus. Providing his thoughts on the matter, Agarwal opined, private chains operating without distributed consensus are more prone to data manipulation and the integrity of the data assets being transferred from a private permissioned and centralized chain to a more decentralized chain could be questioned. Overall, there is no one solution that fits all in terms of being public, private, centralized, decentralized. It is a broad spectrum with specific trade-offs. Lastly, since the governance rules handling privacy and security differ by blockchain, with participants having their own fee structures and entrusting various groups to validate transactions, participants may be resistant to any possible future rule changes passed by the central governing body of their cross-chain platform. You know, Nagon 11, to his credit, he mentioned this about a year or so ago, around this time. He said, you have to be careful, you know, with Wall Street and blockchain, because high probability that some of these major institutions may try to manipulate the network to their own advantage. This was what he was talking about. Okay, so Nagon 11 was not that far off with what he was saying a year and a half ago, or a year ago to this day. He said you have to be careful that these institutions who decide to go centralized will manipulate the data. in order to have an advantage. So he was pretty on point with that. The challenge is currently being faced by cross-chain systems. Regardless of whether a system is permissionless or permissioned, there seems to be a big divide when it comes to defining the term interoperability. For example, if one thinks of the term as means of copying data between different ledgers, then the process is quite straightforward and can be facilitated in a relatively hassle-free manner. However, if data is being transferred from a weaker trustable ledger to a stronger one, the latter becomes susceptible to various discrepancies as well as third-party manipulation. Elucidating his thoughts on the matter, Shinichiro Matsuo, research professor for the Department of Computer Science at Georgetown University, told Coin and Telegraph, imagine a scenario where we bring data from a blockchain with only 3 miners to a blockchain with 10,000 miners. It is essential to establish a framework and mechanism to deal with the difference of trust, though interoperability is strongly needed. Lastly, there is also a major issue when it comes to the deployment of interoperable blockchains, since it takes a lot of testing and patience for such a platforms to become fully developed and matured. Given that blockchain technology is a relatively new phenomenon, the fact that some existing cross-chain solutions are already viable is an encouraging sign. In the future, even more solutions should emerge as the crypto developer community gradually uncovers new issues not initially accounted for and in ingenious ways to solve them. Other technical challenges that can potentially cause an impediment to large-scale blockchain interoperability includes the occurrence of transaction rate bottlenecks. When many chains are sending transactions to one particular chain, clogging its throughput capacity. Similarly, coming to a consensus on a common standard of transaction and state representation for native interoperability is another roadblock that can hinder research progress in this direction. Cross-chain systems as a potential game changers. Simply put, cross-chain platform provides users with an immense amount of flexibility in that they are not locked into a single tech solution for addressing individual needs. Not only that, but with improved interoperability between private and public chains, it seems as though enterprises will be able to obtain the benefits that public blockchain provide in terms of having a third-party distributed consensus with disincentivization at play while minimizing or eliminating many privacy concerns, such as dealing with those who have not undergone the know your customer or KYC check in a much more streamlined manner. On the subject, Agarwal opined. Overall, this leads to greater adoption of public blockchain technology and demonstration of clear business cases for enterprises and corporations in terms of an increase in revenue, decrease in costs. Yeah, thanks for that information, Thai City. In March 2020, Vitalik Buterin expressed his frustration at the fact that fully decentralized transfers of assets between Ethereum and Bitcoin are still impossible. This shows how even the relatively simple feature can be quite technically challenging to maneuver under a completely decentralized setup. Commenting on this issue, Augusto Teixeira, founder and CSO of Cardacy, a Linux-based operating system for decentralized apps, believes that in order for such a problem to be tackled successfully, it is essential that one blockchain is able to follow the consensus protocol of the other. Moreover, users should be incentivized to feed, correct, and update data from one chain to the other while guaranteeing security and good governance, he added. As we depart from the simplest case of asset transfer, things become considerably more complex. Naturally, end users expect these systems to offer low latency, high throughput, smart contracts capabilities, security convenience, built-in authentication, and so on. With that being said, whether the global crypto community is far from realizing such a dream or such a vision is even feasible to begin with remains unclear because we don't have a framework. We have never established anything in the community. Okay, there needs to be like in the cybersecurity community, we have ISO 27001 and we also have ISO 27002. There's various versions of the ISO, but ISO 27001 is actually the proper guide to standardization for cybersecurity controls. Okay. Yo, what's up, Ty City? What it do?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, put some volume on your mic, bro.
I don't have no volume on it.
It's low.
Really?
All right, I got you now.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. No, man, I want to chime in on that Lightning, the Lightning network.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to work for Bitcoin.
Nah.
I'm not. I don't think so because they trying to layer things on top of Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? And Bitcoin has issues with the block sizing and all kind of other stuff that needs to be taken care of before they try to layer on top of it. With the Lightning Network, it's different like rules and laws and things that will be placed upon it if it was ever like fully implemented. You know what I'm saying? They trying to make it to where if you own a node on the Lightning Network, that you're responsible for the transactions that happen on that node. So you have to have like a money changer, like you will be labeled as a money changer, like a MoneyGram or something like that. And you will be responsible for whatever happens. And let's say if anybody came to you and they was trying to track something down, you're legally responsible for handing over that information. So I mean, it's a lot of things ahead for the Lightning Network.
So what you're saying is that the Bitcoin structure is in Lightning Network is so antiquated, it's not feasible to actually push something like this.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. So, I mean, how old is Bitcoin now? What, 10 years?
Yeah. I mean, but like I said, but people believe in Bitcoin so much that they're going to be investing in that thing for a long time, man. And to me, I'm biased. I'm not a firm believer in the Bitcoin technology. Like I know what it is. I know that it's able to hold value, but from a technology standpoint, it's dated.
Yeah. That's why I follow Hyperledger more than anything else, because the technology is so it's so modernized in its design. It's scalable.
I think that the Air Force is already behind it already.
Hyperledger Fabric or Hyperledger?
Right.
Okay, Hyperledger Fabric.
Right. Then Hashgraph too.
Yeah. I've never been a big fan of Bitcoin's clumsiness because you can look at the processing times, the computational processing time. It's massive in comparison to something like Ethereum. And then when you compare Ethereum to something like Hyperledger, you see how antiquated Bitcoin's processing time is. It's like 7 minutes or 8 minutes or something like that for a block. When you compare it down to like Ethereum is half, like 50%.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Even with Ethereum, you have the Ethereum Foundation where they can make decisions like, we finna go and branch off into Ethereum 2.0. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Bitcoin doesn't have a team or people behind it. It's so decentralized that you're pretty much banking on investors, um, and people who just are either donating their time or outside interests have to be interested in making something happen with Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but for all intents and purposes, as long as people are holding Bitcoin, they kind of keep it up, right? They got to keep the
Right. Yeah.
multi.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as people believe in Bitcoin, it's going to be a market for Bitcoin. Like all these layer solutions that people want to put on top of it. I mean, the other things are taking off way faster without layered solutions. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
interoperable with each other already without the layer solution on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely, man. Definitely, because now you're just talking about, you're talking about, using Krylon spray paint on top of Bondo on the wick that's already been rusted.
Yeah, yeah. Eventually, the rust going to start coming through.
Oh yeah.
And as long as they try to build on top of a old like system like that, I mean,
Mhm.
Lightning Network has already been compromised a few times. People lost Bitcoin dealing with it. You know what I'm saying? Like the Lightning Network is going through some growing pains, man.
Yeah, yeah. But I think this latest update should actually secure that, though, from what I just read. So I don't know. I haven't tested it yet. It should be ready to come out of beta. I mean, at this point, I mean, they can just see. That's the thing about beta is that they can always just say, "Oh, it's in beta." So because if it was for production, then people would be able to hold them accountable to it being a lemon, right? Um, Lemon laws and stuff like that come into play because now you're pushing out a product that's not even functional and it's not even secure. So we'll see what happens with it. I don't, one way or another, I don't have any stake in it, but I have a lot more stake in Hyperledger because that's where I focus. So,
Well, yeah,
um,
that's where I'm at too. With do you remember polymath we talked about? Not to change subject or nothing. I'll wait. Polymath we talked about, I think maybe last month about how they put the $2.2 billion worth of real estate on it.
yep.
They were supposed to start last year, next year they was going to start. They
Mm-hmm.
coming out of testing next month.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. See, the thing is, Bitcoin was so clumsy coming in. It was just, I mean, the white paper sounded good, but the execution was poor. And then you get something like Polymath, man. They start with clean code from scratch.
Oh yeah, they coming off of the Ethereum network too.
Yep, yep, yep. Let me hit this real quick. This is from prnewswire.com. Blockchain as a service market to hit 24.94 billion US dollars by 2027. Rising demand for decentralized software services to boost market growth. Fortune Business Insights. The global blockchain as a service market size is set to reach USD $24.94 billion by 2027, exhibiting an impressive CAGR of 39.5% during the forecast period. Multiple advantages of BaaS for small and medium enterprises will fuel the market growth, states Fortune Business Insights in its recent report titled Blockchain as a Service, Market Size, Share, and Industry Analysis by Component. Blockchain technology is emerging as an optimal solution to many of the challenges faced by SMEs, such as access to trade, financing, bank loans, and cash flow difficulties, among other issues. SMEs looking to expand their businesses in foreign lands can give wider access to trade financing sources using BaaS as the technology is decentralized and cuts out middlemen from the process. The World Economic Forum opines that blockchain technology could be instrumental in bridging the gap in trade financing around the world. Similar benefits can be reaped by SMEs in the context of supply chain processes. Thus, these potential advantages of blockchain for SMEs will provide a significant boost to the BaaS market growth in the coming years. According to the blockchain as a service market report, the value of this market stood at 1.9 billion US dollars in 2019. The report further provides the following information: detailed segmentation of the market and piecemeal study of each segment, comprehensive analysis of the regional developments occurring in the market, in-depth research into the market drivers, trends, and challenges, and exhaustive assessment of the competitive landscape of the market. The emergence of COVID-19 has brought the world to a standstill. We understand that this health crisis has brought an unprecedented impact on businesses across industries. However, this too shall pass. Rising support from governments and several companies can help in the fight against the highly contagious disease. There are some industries that are struggling and some are thriving. Overall, almost every sector is anticipated to be impacted by the pandemic. We are taking continuous efforts to help your business sustain and grow during COVID-19 pandemic. Based on your experience and expertise, we will offer you an impact analysis of coronavirus outbreak across industries to help you prepare. So it looks like there's a, let me look at this real quick. Oh, they want you to sign up. I'm not doing that. Not giving my information to them. But yeah, blockchain as a service, huge market, really easy to get into as a consultant. You don't need a whole lot of expertise. All you got to do is be able to take the client and the services and facilitate the blockchain, the blockchain as a service to the potential clients, whether they're private companies or small businesses or publicly traded institutions, government institutions. This is a whole new consultancy that's about to explode. $24 trillion by 2027 is a lot of money out there for brothers to be out there getting.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with what Visa just did?
The digital dollar?
Yep.
Yeah, we covered it last week, I think on the economics hangout, but I didn't really go into depth because I think it was kind of off topic from it. You have anything you want to add about it?
Yeah. The faster payment network with this whole COVID thing and stimulus. I guess out of nowhere, Visa is going to provide the debit cards.
Say that one more time. Explain that again.
Visa is going to handle the stimulus.
Okay.
With the debit cards that they're about to release.
They're trying to move one step closer to the UBI.
Oh, we talking about it tonight. I already got the schedule. It's already here. It's no debate.
Yeah. When you going live?
9:30.
Okay. Let me read this final piece and then we'll go over to your spot. All right, this is from
Wait. It's probably 9:30 your time.
Yeah.
I'll move it back an hour.
No, we got a half hour.
All right.
Chainlink VRF, on-chain verifiable randomness. It's a little bit dated, but it was on the docket. We're thrilled to announce Chainlink VRF, which utilizes verifiable random functions to generate randomness that is verifiable on-chain. We see many great smart contracts benefiting from Chainlink VRF, specifically those that would like to provide proof that they are indeed indeed using tamper-proof source of randomness beyond their control. We like to thank our academic collaborators, the larger developer community that's given us feedback on Chainlink VRF, and the many team members who have to put their efforts into making this initial implementation a working reality. Chainlink VRF helps enable and accelerate the development of smart contracts focused on blockchain gaming, security, layer 2 protocols, and various other use cases. Developers can easily integrate Chainlink VRF to utilize verifiable randomness in their smart contracts through our recently released developer documentation. A security-sensitive mindset is required to create and successfully defend a smart contract against adversaries seeking to steal the funds by that contract. Smart contract developers using randomness as a key input should also see manipulation of that randomness as a critical risk. Well-made systems relying on randomness would ideally want it to be both provably fair, equally uncertain to all contract participants, while also successfully reducing the risk that an adversary could exploit their contract by predicting its outcomes. Chainlink VRF seeks to meet both of these requirements by delivering its randomness along with cryptographic proofs that can be verified on chain, showing that the randomness is indeed unpredictable. Due to the on-chain verifiable nature of Chainlink's VRF randomness, participating nodes can only withhold a request for which they would be financially penalized using Chainlink's upcoming staking capabilities and possibly removed from future queries that would have paid fees for their randomness. Using Chainlink VRF, you can build reliable smart contracts for any applications that require unpredictable outcomes to make games more trustworthy by using a source of randomness that is verifiable on chain, allowing developers to provide additional proof of security sensitive users. Make games more fun by generating challenging and unpredictable scenarios and environments and assigning unpredictable player rewards like loot drops. Generate provably random assignments of duties and resources, randomly assigning judges to cases or auditors to firms under scrutiny. Choose a representative sample of observers eligible to vote on a proposal the contract needs to establish consensus. 4, surveys are an efficient way to provide extra civil resistance. Existing solutions for providing randomness to smart contracts have limitations that are overcome by Chainlink's VRF's verifiable randomness. Both the use of existing on-chain data like a block hash and or various off-chain randomness that then needs to be placed on chain presents their own set of unique challenges. There we go. One example of an exploit that smart contract developers looking to rely on a blockchain for randomness should seek to avoid is over-reliance on block hash-based randomness guarantees. For example, suppose a contract makes decisions based on the parity of the last bit in the hash of the block at a certain height. This looks like a 50-50 outcome, but consider that a miner who produces 1/3 of the blocks on an average may decide to throw out winning blocks for which the last bit of the block hash is 1, foregoing the block reward approximately 2 to 3 Ethereums. In this case, the miner could bias the 0 outcome from a reliable 50% likelihood to a 2/3 likelihood, leading to the loss of user funds from any smart contract relying on this method of randomness generation. If the contract 0-bit behavior would benefit the miner by more than 12 to 18 Ethereum, this behavior would be economically rational, creating an upper limit for the value that a contract using this method should be securing. Yeah, this is a big problem. I mean, you think that contracts being benign as they are wouldn't pose a risk, but they do pose a risk. This is the same sort of vulnerability that, let's say, a vending machine may have. Like back in the 70s and 80s and 60s, you used to have a metal slug that was in the same shape and circumference of a quarter, a U.S. quarter, and you would throw that sucker in there, and if it was the right size and the right structure, you would be able to get a soda out of it until they caught on to it. And so what's happening here is this is the same problem with the smart contracts now, that if you can guess the the output, you're able to actually compromise the contract itself and the results. This is a big problem. In an effort to avoid issues like these, smart contract developers already turn to off-chain solutions where a random number is generated off-chain and brought on-chain. However, without cryptographic verification that the off-chain value is unbiased, there's an opportunity for the result to be manipulated by the off-chain provider and or by the data transport layer. That random value on-chain. Likewise, the application's users are forced to assume that the randomness is produced fairly and has been brought on chain without being changed en route to the application. Additional key trade-offs and security risks that we believe smart contract developers considering a source of randomness for the smart contract should seek to avoid include the following: inaccessibility by or incompatibility with smart contracts, manipulation by the random number generators, centralized operator, exploitation by a blockchain's miners as one of the application's users, unreasonably high trust requirements from end users of the application. To help deal with these and other undesirable security risks, Chainlink's VRF offers transparency and cryptographic proof that each result is fairly generated. Yes, it's very complicated. This is very complicated because you're talking about bringing random numbers from an offline an offline service or a vendor, and then bringing it back in. But then what happens if the offline service or vendor or the third-party vendor is actually compromised themselves, and the whole network is compromised too? Especially yes, sir.
Are you in on Chainlink?
Am I in on it?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
I missed out on getting in, man. They got a lot of investors in this, man. I didn't do my research early enough. Yeah, they got Microsoft in on it. It's a few other big players. They love Chainlink, man.
Yeah. It's a good technology to follow. And it's not that far off from being a very production ready product. Not that far off.
Yeah, they got some people in on it. I suggest people go look into it. It's still early to get in, but I mean, what's early, it was early.
Yeah, when it was feasible to get in, unless you're a whale. Unless you're a whale now.
Well, yeah, you could have been a whale a year ago. Yeah.
Let me finish up this last paragraph, and then we'll close out because I don't want to go too far into this. An additional benefit of Chainlink VRF is that as more users utilize it, user fees paid to node operators increase, creating an incentive for node operators to provide as many security guarantees as possible. Crypto economic security through staking will likely be something users ask to increase over time and justify with their increasingly large fees, which pay for additional security. This leads to a shared global resource that is backed by user fees and allows additional users who would have spent funds on making their own RNG solution to deploy those same funds towards increasing the collective security of a shared resource for the entire blockchain ecosystem. Chainlink's ability to support various chains such as Polkadot, Tezos, and many others means that the universe of users paying for this community resource will continue to grow in a network effect between usership and progressively increasingly crypto economic security guarantees. So I'm not going to read any further into this because I think the main point that I was just trying to cover was verifiable randomness. But this is the complexity of blockchain or distributed ledger technology. It's not something that's easy where you just walk in and it's all set up and ready. No, you really got to put some muscle into this.
Hey, do they have a like a tab on there to show all the partners they're working with?
Yeah, let me go to the top. Announcements, yeah. I just saw it. You're talking about all the vendors.
Yeah. You know who Polymath picked up Charles Hoskinson.
Really?
Yeah, the co-founder of Ethereum over there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, they're gonna make something shake too, man.
There's a lot of money flowing through the through this space. You know, I met with some guys not too long ago at the blockchain event here locally. Them are some heavy hitters, man. Those are some heavy hitters. That was like a couple months ago, way before COVID. So, cats riding around in Lambos and Ferraris, man. There's a lot of dough floating through the space, man.
Yeah, people try to get in, man.
Yeah. Let me answer this question in the chat. Jesse asks, have y'all made any blockchain applications? I personally have not made any blockchain applications. Not at this point. I was hoping to start, to get started this year, but due to my career focus, that has taken a back seat. But that's in the works. That is definitely in the works.
I'm an investor only. I learned the technology. I see who else interested in it. I see who working on it, and then I invest. That's it.
Yeah. El Rahim asks a question. Have the host discussed Samsung new phone with built-in wallet? I think we discussed that last month, if I remember correctly. I think we discussed it last month.
Oh, yeah. And Samsung did a deal with Theta,
mm-hmm.
which is weird because Sony developed that Theta situation. It's a blockchain that's supposed to be based on like social media and like gaming and stuff like that.
It's about to open up, man.
Yeah, it's some cool shit coming.
Yeah. They're gonna want people to go back out there and drive. They're gonna compensate people through tokens, man. All the mileage you putting on your feet and whatnot, and driving around for Uber Eats and Uber, Lyft and whatnot. They're gonna start compensating people through tokens, man.
Yeah, man.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, some cool shit going down, man.
Yeah, kids getting good grades on the report card and whatnot, man. There's gonna be some tokenization come behind that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm surprised the NCAA with all the athletes and stuff that they got, you know, before all the scandals. I'm surprised they wasn't first off the gate, you know, trying to compensate their players through tokens.
Yeah, I mean that's something else, man. I look at something like that. It's a no brainer, but it's like, nah, you know what time it is.
All right, here it is right here, Ty City. Let me share my screen real quick. All right, this is a full list of Chainlink partnerships. Oracle, V Systems, Depth, what is this crap? Google Cloud, Matic, GoChain, Reserve. This about 31 partnerships. BET Protocol.
That's funny.
Yeah, I thought it was the network.
iOS. Let me see. Oh, there it is right there. That's a Google Cloud. Yeah. Where's that? Matic. That's a third layer source.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, IOST.
Mm-hmm. Streamer.
Yeah, Streamer. Is this a new list or older list?
This is 2019, 2020.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. WANChan, that's another interoperable platform that's supposed to break out. Ocean Protocol is supposed to be interoperable as well.
Yeah, WANChan is a it's like damn it, I forgot what they call it. It's like a tracking type of blockchain.
Yeah. Yeah. Open law. Yeah, there's a lot that's going to come out from all this, man. Now's a good time to get into blockchain development, man. Blockchain investing as well, because the money's not in Bitcoin anymore, man. That already took off already, man. When it was $500, when it was $100, that made sense. But now
you can't say nothing bad about Bitcoin, man. Don't do it, man. Don't do it, Mike. You gonna get an email.
No, I'm just saying from an investment standpoint, and I'm not a certified financial planner. If you want a certified financial planner, go to cfp.net and look up one of your area. I'm just saying the value of the technology has far exceeded the return on investment in comparison to blockchain, right? So you can invest into blockchain for pennies on the dollar, but you couldn't do that with you can't do that now with Bitcoin. You got to come with some bread now. You got to be a catfish or a calico bass or something like that. You may not be a whale, but you got to be a bass out here.
Yeah. WANChan is a decentralized finance, and I think it's Chinese.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, well, I'm finna jet over to Monster, get it cracking, man.
Yeah, thanks for stopping through, man, and thank you to everyone for participating in the chat, man. Hit the like button if you've not already done so. Share the video if possible. Hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust and those posted on the community tab. Document description, the video for you all to reference, and shalom.